Liberated, freed, released, free from traditional social restraints, sisters, girls or women who share a common ancestry, allegiance, character, or purpose with another or others, fellow Black women or girls.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Assalamu alaikum. That means peace be unto you. Welcome to Liberated Sisters, still too close. I'm your host, Sister Charlene Muhammad, also student national correspondent of the Final Call newspaper, but this is Liberated Sisters. And I mentioned the student post because we're going to be coming out of the Final Call newspaper tonight. Tonight is themed the Justice Report. And what I endeavor to do tonight is highlight some of the headlines in the Final Call. Sister Attorney Pamela Muhammad, a Houston-based attorney, will be with us tonight to go into some of the stories that are pretty hot and heavy right now, which all of them are, but she wanted to highlight some of those. And so what I'll do is flip pages of the Final Call newspaper with you. I'm going to give you a peek into my digital edition, and we invite you to subscribe to the Final Call newspaper, and you can get your own. And so pardon us for coming on now. I actually was not able to log on at all. I'm not talking about the camera or the audio. I had to get a completely different system to log on. So I was feeling kind of Dr. Ridgely-ish, because sometimes that happens to him. But we're here. And so without further ado, we're going to get into the report. But bring in Attorney Pamela so she can give greetings. And then we're having technical difficulties right now. I see I'm freezing, but I hope it's coming through. So let's add her. Wow. Okay, here we go.
Yes, ma'am.
Beautiful.
Wa alaikum salam, beloved, and same to you. I'm a reflection of you, my beautiful sister. Thank you so much for inviting me to the Liberated Sisters. And I just want to say, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there's no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad is his messenger. Yes, ma'am. And once I want to greet y'all with the nation's greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, and that only means peace be with you. And so thank you, Sister Pamela, for that. I wanted to get your opening remark before I go into the headlines, and then we will get to the stories that you want to highlight. We have a condensed show in light of what happened with me not being able to sign on. So let's do that.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So you want me to give an opening remark? Yes, ma'am.
Opening remarks about, the show, or just being here tonight. Whatever your opening remarks are about what's happening in the news headlines, but just your opening remarks to the people. Yes. I think you gave them.
Yes, ma'am. And I just want to say briefly, I think the headlines of the Final Call is, as always, so, important and timely based upon what's unfolding in front of our eyes. This, of course, we know that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is a divinely guided man in our midst. And it's interesting, Sister Charlene, I had pulled up an old story of yours because I really wanted to talk about this justifiable homicide, Black youth in peril. And you had quoted the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in a story that you wrote, I think, about a year ago. And really the point is that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and I'm quoting from your story, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan of the Nation of Islam pointed out in a message titled Justifiable Homicide, Black Youth in Peril, delivered on October the 28th, 2007, from Mas Marian in Chicago. And he said that since Black people have been in America, we have been under the domination of a power that during slavery did not have to justify the murder of our fathers. They didn't have any group of people to look at facts. The slave master has the power of life and death on every Black person outside of the principle of justice, with no regard for the life of the Black male or female that was being put to death, stated the minister. You know, and I think this domination of, we have been under the domination of the power that, you know, of the powers that America is using and exercising. We can see this unfolding. And I wanted to talk I want to talk about the DC residents protest National Guard deployment in the city. This was a beautiful article written by our sister Nisa Islam Muhammad in the September, I think it was September the 1st. She wrote an article about the National Guard's deployment in the city. And, you know, she wrote it from the perspective of what some of the residents are saying and some of the impact. So again, I think the domination that we're seeing with the expansion of these powers, you know, executive orders are being written. And this is something that we've been talked to for years by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan regarding our children, our communities. And those are some of the articles, you know, that I want to discuss in the final call, as well as some
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And I'll pull that up now. I appreciate that, Attorney Pamela. Let's see. Here is the cover story of the Final Call newspaper now. Again, y'all getting all the tea right here. The edition. News before the news. The headlines in the Final Call. Look at the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's banner article. It is the center page article for the Final Call. Actually, a case for separation. Okay. United States. Yeah. United States war machine threatens Venezuela. And here it is. This article is by Brother Brian E. Muhammad, and he writes that tensions escalate as the United States sends warships toward the oil-rich South American country, which, in response, dispatches thousands of troops to protect and secure its borders from this pending threat. I'll read a few more headlines. I want you to get a glimpse. And if you have your subscription, enjoy it. If you don't, again, we invite you to take out a subscription. I'm clicking the wrong screen. Here it is. Okay. That's that one. We're just going through the Final Call news headlines, finalcall.com, finalcalldigital.com to subscribe. So there again is Brother Brian E.'s article on this page 2, U.S. war machine looms over Venezuela. We invite you to read that, take a look at it. He goes really deep into the issues. And on the next page 3, we have separation, the best and only solution. There's the sign, one way leads to success, one way leads to failure. I'll read the quote here from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. There is no such thing. Yeah, my computer's doing a lot of different things, so pardon me one moment. Here it is. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, as Sister Anissa Muhammad, our staff writer, puts in her article on separation, the best and only solution, there is no such thing as living in peace with white Americans. You and I have tried without success, unquote. This is in the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's message to the Black man in America. You can go deeper into the book. Lots of it is published in articles online for the Final Call, different excerpts, as well as the article. And you will see more about that. Thank you, Sister Anissa, for your article. And it brings to mind the time that Minister Ava, a Star of God student, Minister Dr. Ava Muhammad, she was the national spokesperson for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Well, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, which is same because he's sitting in his seat. But for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, to be accurate and exact. And she went on a tour where she asked questions. You know, the question was to see if people wanted that. And there were town hall meetings across the country, and those are also online. I think the website is or was separation.com, but if you Google that, you will find that with Minister Ava and some of the videos and the images and the news articles in the Final Call about that. And so now in the national section, we start off with a war of words and how tensions are escalating as President eyes more cities for National Guard deployments. Sister Attorney Pamela is going to talk about that. And then also she's going to talk about, that's by our writer, the Final Call writer, Sister Nisa Islam Muhammad, right out of DC. And Sister Anissa has another one. Pay to stay fees are burdening incarcerated individuals and their families. I won't deal with that one right now because Sister Attorney Pamela is going to go into that. A big shout out to the brothers, the FOI, the Fruit of Islam, a commitment to an important mission. They go out every day with the Final Call newspaper, and there are images from them across the country. If you're out there, you want to have your country seen, email finalcallsubmissions@gmail.com. Global Weather Roundup. Here is something with the Weather Watch. We continue to see the extreme calamities. And so this article is highlighting such. There's a special section, the United States policy of depopulation. Minister Farrakhan's article here is about the valley of the shadow of death. And so in this article, the Final Call, if I enlarge it, you all, it's going to go haywire. So in this article, the Final Call is highlighting excerpts from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's message in January 2004. And so you can read this in terms of what he guided us on regarding the COVID-19 shots. And in a quotation by the Final Call, by the minister, the Final Call lifts, quote, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad wanted us to buy or lease millions of acres of land so that we could be responsible for providing the food which we need to maintain our lives, end quote. So this goes into not just shots, but other things. And actually, I don't want to even say that this is about shots because it looks like it's about food, but I see that glove there, you know. Brother Michael, what is his last name? Can you see it there? There's a writer, a PhD, Dr. Michael, in what newspaper is that? I'm telling you, if I enlarge it, y'all might as well kiss it goodbye. I'm gonna try. Nope, it turned the page on me. Well, there's another article in the in the special section, the U.S. policy of depopulation. The headline is gravely concerning. Spike protein found in female stroke victims up to 17 months after receiving the mRNA COVID vaccine. We'll be coming with Dr. Richley and others, God willing, Dr. Christina Parks, help me please, Dr. Christina Parks, a cellular and molecular biologist, to talk about some of these that we're highlighting tonight. Now, in Los Angeles, an appeals court blocked the ruling of the immigration enforcement raids, but they still continued. Now, you all, that's a wild one. I can tell you that people are still being arrested in some of the most violent ways, and so people are standing up about that, but they're still continuing. And so I will make way now. I want to go and see what's in the actual feature pages. This is our UN page, but look at our editorial section. That's the cover, disagreeable to live with in peace. Descendants of Booker T. Washington continue to honor his legacy. Yes, it's the founder of Tuskegee. Separate and Be Saved, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Look at all of these books. We invite you to get these books. Let's look again at his books. How to Eat to Live, From God in Person, Message to the Black Man in America. Our Savior Has Arrived, and The Fall of America, which we are now witnessing. By the way, I usually by the time I get to the end of the show, so I'll do it now, Sister Pamela, is invite you to view noi.org every Sunday, or you can go to that website for the messages by Student Minister Ishmael Muhammad here locally, and other helpers of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Here in Los Angeles at 8039 South Vermont, we meet and we hear from Student Minister Abdul Malik Saeed Muhammad, our Western Region representative for the Nation of Islam, and other student ministers here. And so across the country, they are also having doors open. You can visit them. But if you want to view from the comfort of your home, noi.org, also for a plethora of information that's life-saving. So the minister's article, we talked about a case for separation. Sister Pamela, I need to make way for you, but this is important. The final call. First, there's the announcement. We have this is a very special time in this month. We're going to get to it with a special guest next week. But the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's More Than a Vision Like Experience, where he says to President Reagan, quote, he gave the announcement, President Reagan has met with his Joint Chiefs of Staff to plan a war. I want you to hold a press conference in Washington, D.C., and announce their plan and say to the world that you got the information from me, Elijah Muhammad, on the wheel. I just got chills. This is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who was instructed to do that, and he has done that. We will go more into that very, very soon, but it is called The Announcement. You can read it in the final call. There's also a book at store.finalcall.com. And on the next page, Revealing the Truth. These are for sale. Look at this. $10 retail, $7 wholesale, practically free. Revealing the Truth and Exposing the Synagogue of Satan. In this book, the information is regarding the Time and What Must Be Done lecture series, the Synagogue of Satan, Who Are the Real Children of Israel, the interview on Michael Eric Dyson's show, special report on the trip to Iran. This is Minister Farrakhan's trip to Iran. Savior's Day 2023, the War of Armageddon has begun, and more. So with that, Sister Pamela, let's let you go and take the wheel now, because it's already almost closing, and I just wanted to get to a lot of that. So which one do we want to highlight first?
Well, you know what, Sister Charlene, I want to make the correction, because as on your show, I know oftentimes we talk about several different final calls. So I was actually talking about the article in the September 1st final call. And that's why I did talk about that title being What You See Over There Is Planned Over Here. And I think what Sister Al-Nisa did in her first article, she gave that overview. She gave that introduction into the president's bringing those, what are they called? I get them. I don't want to say troops, but the National Guards into D.C. And so some of the things that I thought were important is how she mentions that checkpoints have already been set up in several predominantly Black neighborhoods, intensifying fears that the military is being used to intimidate residents rather than to protect them. And that's where I say, we have to look at the minister telling us how during slavery, their attempts to just dominate us. Because anytime you have checkpoints set up in Black communities, as she's referencing, as an attorney, I have some questions regarding law. I have some questions regarding the constitutional and possible violations, because the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution does give us the right to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures. And so searches and seizures are occurring if these people are allowed to just come into our community, set up checkpoints. You don't have warrants issued to search people. You don't have warrants. You don't have reasonable suspicion really to just interrogate people and, detain people. And I'm really concerned about youth as well as adults, because we know that youth, with their being a little bit more, they're innocent, they're not as sophisticated. So their rights are really going to be trampled on potentially by these constitutional violations. And so that, I think we have to, as an attorney, I want to remind your listeners that always refuse to make statements other than, I guess, if you have what they call a investigatory detention, where they may just ask you for your name or something. But just remember that anything you say can and will be used against you. And so I think our people really are going to have to, go in our communities and make sure that we do know what our rights are, and make sure that we do know what a lot of the dangers are that come from not just a use of force, that, the shooting of people, unarmed people, and under this, it's justifiable. We want to talk about statements, that are being made. We want to talk about consents to search. Make sure that you don't consent to a search, even if you're being detained, if it's not reasonable. You just don't have to consent to any kind of search of your person. You don't have to make statements. The intrusiveness that these type of checkpoints are going to create, is going to continue to increase our people's risk of being unlawfully detained, false confessions, and all of these violations of the Fourth Amendment to the Constitution. So we're really in a perilous situation, as we see. In addition to that, I think it's so important. One of the articles I wanted to talk about, and going right to Sister Alnisa's article, another article that is in the September 8th edition of the Final Call, where she talks about already the burdening on our families when our incarcerated family members and our loved ones are being charged interest at these exorbitant amounts. I think she was saying in her article that sometimes 55% of interest is being charged when someone, this starts off by saying, my family member sent me money orders, and a significant chunk, 55%, was taken away for fees. And if someone, my cousin, sent me $100, they would give me $45 cash to eat, and to eat in the canteen, and they would keep 55, or I think they would take 45 and I keep 45. But I mean, this is unreasonable domination of our people by this criminal justice system, and we see that is just getting more outrageous as now we see this National Guard deployment. And also, because again, we can come back next week and discuss what some of the mayors and some of the governors of these states are saying as you look at this federal intervention and, potential control of their cities and their states, which by the executive, which is very interesting legal topic in and of itself. So I would love to come back and talk further about some of those issues as we broaden this topic. But I also wanted to bring to light, so that's on state fees. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I just caught up to you. I apologize because my system is really slow. I don't have a lot of screens open, but it's just really slow. So I finally caught up to you with the cash bail.
Yes,
this is what you were speaking about, right? The pay to stay fees.
Well, I was speaking about the pay to stay fees for sure as another, that's an example of just over policing, over domination. But as we talked about also, along with this executive order regarding these, what do they call, National Guard troops, it's my understanding that on August the 25th, the president also signed an executive order where he's wanting to get rid of cashless bail. And to me, I think that's linked to what you see, just as being just intolerable treatment of people who are incarcerated, because cashless bail is very much something that is based on inability to pay. And we know our people are oftentimes, brought in on charges that may or may not be, very serious. They could be very nonviolent charges that, but they may not have any money. And so the cashless bail system that had really been enacted as a protection, now there's an executive order that apparently August the 25th was signed. Now, I don't know if it's going to remain, and I really haven't researched to see if it is still, there's some federal lawsuits that have been filed. But as it stands, these pundits are saying they want that eliminated, where people will not be able to get out of jail pending their trials, prior to the actual trial and adjudication of their cases without cash. And many people don't have cash, just like many people cannot afford to pay 55% interest on $100, that their family is using a money order to send them. So this is another, just very much unfair domination of the poor. And I think the cashless bail is something we have to look at. And what really brought my attention is because you hear them now talking about crime bill. We're going to sign a new crime bill. And, the last time we heard about crime bills, that really piqued my attention was back in the 90s when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan began really warning us about this violence and, stopping the violence and how they wanted to do a war against Black people. So here we are now with this new crime bill that, tough on crime, they don't, taking the money, chunk of 55% being taken. Then you have this cashless bail. And one of the worst cases we had with cashless bail, and I know I'm going on, but Khalif Brown. Now that brother was a very well-known, victim who was demonized by being incarcerated for he charged with supposedly taking somebody's backpack. His family couldn't pay the bail. And so this brother actually, what do they say? Several years he was incarcerated, finally released and exonerated. And then 2 years after the charges were actually dropped, our brother Khalif Browder died by suicide. And this was related to this bail that many people cannot pay. And there's no connection really between, they say, make people pay cash bail. Is that gonna reduce crime? Since they've issued the cashless bails, they say there's no real rate showing that even protects people, that's some type of safety. But we do know that it's going to impact Black people and brown people disproportionately, Sister Charlene. So got to look out for this crime bill rhetoric that is going on, because again, it's just attack. It's just part of that attack.
Wow.
Yes,
Thank you. It's amazing. I know we covered the young brothers. I know for a fact we covered the young brothers ordeal, but it's not pulling up, so I won't even fight it. We have 3 more minutes. And again, apology for me not being able to get on until the camera and everything working. What would you like to start your closing remark just in terms of the guidance that we have, highlighting specifically, because there, yes, all of this is happening. However, we do have a divine guide and a warner and a mercy and a grace from God in our midst.
That's right. Yes, ma'am. That's right. Yes, ma'am. And you're right. I mean, so the article, the September 1 article on the final call entitled Black Families Are Driving Homeschool Growth.
Let me get it.
September 1. Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Black families driving homeschool growth. And it's really saying how our people are choosing alternatives to protect their children and remove them from this school to prison pipeline, which is one of the main places that is feeding our children. And so feeding our children from these schools. And so the another article in the final call this week, I'm on your week, I'm on the September 8th. There's an evening of unity at the MUI banquet in Detroit. And I'm just highlighting that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad went to prison, jail, to establish a separate school system for our children, and the early believers also did. Right. And so we have these options that we have, independently been the beneficiaries. They did the hard lifting. And so when we see the success of our children in the independent schools, the galas, in this article regarding MUI, you have a young sister who actually went from pre-K to 12th grade and graduated college from the University of California at Berkeley. Her name is Sister Khalida Muhammad, and she's in her first year of law school. That is a student out of MUI. This, along with the homeschooling growth from Black communities, is the way to protect our children and our families. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says in this article, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad has said that our unity is more powerful than a hydrogen or atomic bomb. And so there's a brother quoted, the MUI Detroit banquet demonstrated that with unity and love, we can accomplish great things, advance our children, and experience the happiness promised to us by Allah God. So as you said, we got to inform our children, our people of their rights. Do not consent to searches of your telephone. I just had to say that. You do not have to give your phone to a police without probable cause and a warrant. And that's a very no thing to do in the legal system. Stand on your rights. Let's unite. Let's build safe communities. And let's really, as we start the school year, let's look at independent education and teaching our children who they are so they can have the proper knowledge of self. And I just that's as we look into what's going on and the time and what must be done. So yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All praise to Allah. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, I wanted to show some of the images that you spoke about. I recognize Sister Letitia right there.
Okay.
Oh wow! And sisters, look at the design in the table. Wow. Let me run back the other way. So that's our student minister, Troy Muhammad of Detroit Mosque, number 1. Yes. Very historic. Holy ground, right? Dr. Muhammad, because our Savior there made himself known there. To us, Sister Dr. Olivia Muhammad. Oh, okay. Here's the phone.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yes, ma'am. Because I just want to say in closing, I mean, the lawyers, we have to bring those stats because really 70% of the students who are incarcerated coming out of school, involved in school-based incidents, they're Black and Latino. 70%. So, this is great footage to show how we can have our own schools. We can, we have them. We need to protect our youth. And, that's something that we really need to look at that. Self-determination. Wow. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for that. I would have put up a clip of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and or the Honorable Elijah Muhammad speaking about what you're speaking on. But the way that the system is glitching, I just prefer not to. But I do want to show this just as you speak about, those early believers. But first of all, can you see it? I don't know. The first one, I have blur on. So if I try to take the blur off, it won't go. But
yes, ma'am. How to eat to live.
Yeah. Even that's close, it, that's no. And so I don't know if it'll show the reformer, Mother Bernstein Muhammad. She was the first and only secretary to the Savior Master Prophet Muhammad, Bernstein Sharif Muhammad. It's not showing there. So that's it. Let me not let it go anymore. And this is a book of unseen historical documents dated 1933 to 1962. It gives an in-depth and transformative reading experience. And this is by her daughter, Sister Medina Muhammad, and her family are putting this out. But these are words that were revealed directly from God to the reformer, because he named her the reformer. So I'm almost finished with it, but it says this book offers a rare glimpse into the Nation of Islam during the early 1930s and beyond. The documented reports and work of the reformer Bernstein Sharif Muhammad helped to illuminate the very foundation of the Nation of Islam and the identity of its founder, Master Prophet Muhammad. So as we talk about the reformer, and we talk about, she taught women. What I think I would do, if I'm able to do it, is close out with something that is really light, and it just reminds me of her and her work, because we're a major portion of the work and the problem in terms of when you solve what's happening with Black women in America, then you will have solved the issue, right? So, and that's 75% to be exact. He said 75% of the work is with the woman. And so I'm going to play a video once we close. I let you take your leave, Sister Pamela, that I would like to share, or maybe I'll play it now, because that I do know I can put my fingers on it, and because we just recently did. But this is something from MGT Studios, the Muslim Girls Training and General Civilization class, which is the name given to the women and girls in North America. We are being retaught, retrained, and we have our own studios. And MGT Studios is really high class. The work and effort that goes into it is high level. And what the studios is doing now is teaching us really pristine, deep cleaning techniques. And some of it is not so deep, but just proper ways. We're learning things that we say, oh, we didn't know that. Maybe that's why my fan is not blowing cool air. What some people do know. I didn't know you just flip a switch. There's certain, the blades go a certain way. But at any rate, let me show that video, Sister Pamela, and then we'll come out and close out, okay? Okay, everyone, I'll put some music on, and please stay with us. Let me do that. And why? Because they work hard. It's on my mind. And I know that I can do it. And I just want to close out in a different kind of way today. I've been ill and I've been blessed to recover quickly. And so I'm so grateful. 1 second. Here's some music. Well, needless to say, that video escapes me. I just said I had it. Here I am, Sister Pamela. I'll put you back too, and we can show the one that I will present, okay? Let me know when you're ready to come back, okay? There you go.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, here it is. Yeah, so I need to press play once it's added to the stage. This is a different one. This is an excerpt for the Woman of God class, a commercial that was done, and I'll stop it at the proper time. Okay. Yeah, it's out of there because it's blurry. It's looking blurry to me. That I won't do. Mm-mm. I'm not doing that. Sorry. So that's our show for today. Thank you all for the well wish and those who helped take care of me today. Ooh, we are not alone, Sis Pamela. That is for sure. That's for
Yes.
sure. So I appreciate you sharing the words about what's in the paper this week. God willing, we'll have Dr.
Great.
Ridgely next week, and we have someone that's an author, hopefully coming on that's going to talk about energy and controlling yours and utilizing yours and other different things in more profound way than what I'm saying. But would you like to say any closing remarks?
Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. That's it. Assalamu alaikum to your listeners, and thank you. It's so good to see you, sister, and I pray that you feel.
Praise be to Allah. It's good to be seen in the sense of, it was quick, but just as quickly as that, I feel like the recovery is coming, and so I thank God. We have everything, and the key is how to eat to live.
That's right.
Key is how to eat to live, and so. Yeah, I really appreciate you, Sister Pamela. Thanks for being with us tonight. This is our sister attorney based in Houston, Texas. Do you want people to know how to reach you?
Well, yes, ma'am. So you can reach me. You can give me a call at 281-208-3888. I'm on Facebook at Pamela Muhammad. And pretty much that's it. I'm trying to get on Instagram and all these other platforms, but yes, ma'am, you can reach me on Facebook or give me a call.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Like it is said, just get on, because as long as we try, which is it's finally been like cluck with our dietary law, just do it.
Yes, ma'am.
It may not look great, but I don't want to say look great, but it's scary sometimes, do something new.
It is. It is.
Yeah. I look forward to seeing you on the gram, as they say now.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Sister Pamela. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, beloved.
You all, that's our show presentation for today. And thank you for bearing with your sister, Liberated Sister Charlene Muhammad, who is working on total liberation in terms of being able to bring you the best and reformatting. I look forward to returning to Mars Media Studios, God willing, in the very near future. I have to work on that. But there's a lot of information that's moving fast. There's something happening right now in terms of President Donald Trump and calling on the CDC to prove that their vaccine works in light of the hearings regarding Mr. Robert Kennedy today, who is the head of the health department. And so a lot of that is going on, and there's other different things. Brother Kyrie Irving is interested in farmland. I think he's already purchased much of it. And so we'll get more into that in terms of what our brother's planning to do with that. This is basketball great, Brother Kyrie Irving, but who is also more than that. You may recall he took a stand during COVID and actually did not take the shot. And his body is healthy. He didn't have any effects. And so at any rate, there's so much happening that we want to cover, and we want the experts to come and talk to you. So God willing, we'll have them there. I thank you all for tuning in, and I thank Closing the Gap Broadcast Network for being a vessel and a vehicle. Please support it. Our mother show is on Saturdays. I want to say 4 p.m., but I think that's accurate. Or that would be 4 p.m. Central or Pacific Standard Time. But it's Closing the Gap Broadcast. And that's the mother show on Saturdays with Student Minister James, Sister Starla, and Brother Chad Muhammad. Okay. So thank you all. I'm going to go ahead on and leave out. Assalamu alaikum.
liberated, freed, released, free from traditional social restraints, sisters, girls or women who share a common ancestry, allegiance, character, or purpose with another or others, fellow Black women or girls.